How cats broke the game. It's by TierZoo. Let's figure out why cats are OP.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oof. Jesus. Bidding.
This game's tier list can seem pretty set in stone sometimes, but in reality, major shifts in the meta can happen extremely quickly, especially when new resource hotspots and points of interest open up. Builds which are well adapted to capitalize on these flashpoints can see dramatic ascension
What is that bird doing in the convenience store?
on the tier list. One such event occurred when humans unlocked the food storage ability. This greatly improved the humans' survivability by giving them a consistent source of XP even during harsh winters or famines. That is, if they could defend their stockpiles. These stashes were incredibly valuable and could easily support entire colonies of rats and sparrows if improperly guarded.
we got real good at saving food. Collecting it.
All these Neolithic humans did have some techniques they could use to try and protect their precious grain on their own. Ultimately, their saving grace came in the form of a previously low-tier predator build that was barely scraping by in the North African savanna, the wildcat. A build which, once domesticated, would go on to become one of the most oppressive, overpowered predators in the current meta.
Let's
but
go.
What is it about the house cat that makes it such a dominant threat?
Get him! Get that bear! That bear's got nothing on that house cat. Look at him go.
And how was it that the wildcat became better suited at taking advantage of pest infestations than other builds? To really explain the success of the house cat, we need to go way back and start our story just after the Miocene balance patch. This update granted mammals access to a new ability called Carnival Teeth, a side grade of the dentition skill tree, which allows users to gain bonus XP from carcasses and carrion sources. This may seem like a minor thing, but it completely changed up the metagame and made hyper-carnivorous builds a lot more viable, giving rise to a new archetype called the carnivore.
Cats were getting patched. They were getting upgrades. They were becoming OP.
A group which includes many of the most popular predator builds in the current meta. Carnivores are divided into two factions, caniforms and feliforms. Caniforms are more generalist in nature and invest a lot into the olfaction skill tree, letting them track the sense of whatever they need, be it scavengeable carrion, prey, fruit, honey,
the Whiffa and the Sniffa are very powerful devices.
Water, or teammates from a great distance. They also tend to have a lot of stamina, allowing them to run for long distances without tiring. Feliforms, on the other hand, doubled down on the carnivoran archetype's original strategy. They spec'd into even more abilities meant to crank up the efficiency of the hyper-carnivore game plan. The ability Tongue Papillae allows felids to extract even more value from fresh kills. Instead of investing heavily into scent-based sensory power, feliforms tend to focus more on their hearing and eyesight abilities. This doesn't help them scavenge, since things like—
You can tell that they can hear well when you use a printer in front of a cat and it jumps every time.
Carcasses and berries don't make sound, but it does make them incredibly good at detecting hidden prey. Also, in keeping with the carnivoran's first major advancement—
Oh my god, this human is stupid. Why would you do this?
Feliforms also focus a lot more heavily on specialized dentition, optimizing their bite attacks to deal massive puncture damage, and more effectively hold onto prey so the user can deal bonus damage with their claws. Throw in a few more ambush-focused abilities like retractable claws and camouflage fur patterns, and you've arrived at the modern Felid, easily one of the most successful stealth assassin builds.
This house cat is crazy. They have no fear.
The game has ever seen. In fact, during the Ice Age expansion, Felids were such a dominant threat that many other predator builds had trouble competing with them at all. In the current meta, cats remain incredibly dominant in virtually every major terrestrial server. Basically every cat, including the ones I like to throw shade at, is a threat. Not just to those of similar weight class, but even to builds that vastly outweigh them. Although their power stat tends to—
Me when I'm trying to play Elden Ring and not take any damage from the enemy.
Their power stat tends to be fairly modest among carnivorans. Through efficient use of critical hits, a skilled Felid player can take down just about anything. While the majority of the Felid player base was off rampaging through the upper weight classes.
Jesus, that's strong. That's crazy how much he could pull that entire crocodile. That's crazy how he can pull him out of the water. That is a strong cat.
player base was off rampaging through the upper weight classes.
That's
An
crazy.
offshoot of the faction opted to forego larger size and instead chose to spec into a few new abilities, meant to capitalize on exploiting the weaknesses
Look at that jump!
commonly found in the lower weight
Give them
classes.
style points!
So let's finally start unpacking what makes the house cat so overpowered. We'll begin with a quick look at the cat's stats. We've got a build with upper mid-level intelligence, low defensive stats, decent damage, above average stealth, high mobility, and excellent
Very
perception.
stealthy.
Right off the bat, something that might jump out at you is, well, the fact that nothing jumps out at you. Cats are supposedly some of the most broken predators of all time, and yet none of their stats seems all that busted on their own. Top tier builds tend to have at least one stat that is so high it completely invalidates the strategies of other players.
That is
But
true.
no, cats aren't able to use tools, they don't have a bone-crushing or venomous bite, they can't change colors, they can't tank attacks for days, they
Yeah,
can't
they seem pretty
echolocate, and
average,
so
pretty
on.
basic
So no obvious
build-wise.
answer here. Next, let's check out their unique abilities. We talked about a few already, including the abilities that buff the XP rates from meat sources. These
Look at
should not
those
be understated,
beans.
as without them you can pretty much entirely write off the viability of this
They
build.
got that sandpaper
Cats
tongue.
and all other mammals have the warm-blooded trait. This grants them greatly improved stamina regen rates,
I forgot that cats can technically pant. A lot of animals cannot pant.
greater resistance to cold damage, and a bunch of other useful perks.
How is he climbing up this wall? What the?
But at the cost of much greater upkeep requirements, meaning
Squatch.
they need to secure kills much more frequently than similarly sized
I really like seeing tiny baby kittens like annihilating like the most gigantic steak ever. Like with apex like predator energy. Meanwhile, they're like exactly 2 pounds of floof.
blooded builds. Without these abilities granting the cat bonus XP from meat, it would be very difficult for them to keep up with their energy needs, even with how efficient cats are at hunting. Cats can also move extremely quietly due to their soft toe pads and retractable claws,
That is true.
enabling them to easily get within striking range of prey through smart use of cover and line of sight.
I just like how many cats just like absolutely beeline and run at animals larger than them, and at least half the time, if not more than half the time, it works because the bigger animal is like, what in the heck? Like, they just do not expect something this small to come like dashing at them with like, they're faking it until they make it, like.
But okay, all types of cat, large and small, have those abilities.
They have
How
no
about something
fear.
more unique to house cats?
Oof.
For that, let's look at their primary perception-based ability, slitted pupils. This ability grants house cats extremely precise depth perception, greater than all other felids. This allows them to perfectly judge the optimal pouncing distance, massively increasing their odds of landing an immediate critical hit
Real.
and incapacitating their target before it has a chance to respond.
They got the special
So
eyes.
even though the house cat's base damage isn't broken in and of itself,
Man!
when a house cat goes on the
Get
offensive,
slapped.
it can certainly look that way. This strategy is what has led to the complete
Oh my god. That is a huge toad! My lord, look at how fat that toad is. Look at that boy.
collapse of several different player bases in the amphibian, reptile, bird, and mammal factions, as it truly is that oppressive. Now, while we were first looking at the cat's base stats, one thing you might have assumed right away was that the cat's lower defensive stats are its main weakness, and that cats function as a sort of glass cannon, with very little counterplay options when attacked. You might also assume that given the cat's high mobility, their primary defensive strategy is simply to run away when they feel threatened.
Also, the fact that they have this extreme fear of, like, foil. If you put it on a counter, they leap off like a poison just touched their feet, like their front toe pads.
And while their top speed is often enough to escape danger when needed, instead, cats employ their mobility stat defensively in a different way. This is where one of the
boing.
most shockingly effective aspects of the house cat manifests.
Look at him! He's just standing there puffed up. He's like not even running away, and there's so many dogs. I like how the strat is to stand firmly, even when outnumbered.
House cats use their incredible agility to stand their ground. Agility and quick reflexes are usually used to dodge attacks, but cats instead actually use the reflexes to deflect them. Because their incredible depth perception grants them such high accuracy.
Bro, I mean, I feel like my cat must be built different, because my cat will swat at a fly and be like facing backwards and not know where it went. And then meow at me like, can you find it for me?
on their attacks,
My
they can
cat's
use their
broken, I
claw
think.
swipe attack to actually block incoming strikes. This is surprisingly consistent and works on a lot more attacks than you might think. Now,
My
obviously,
cat did not spec into this skill, okay?
this is a high-skill, high-reward strategy. Missing a parry can result in serious damage, but if you get good enough at this, you can ward off attacks from just about anything, and potentially even open up opportunities for counterattacks. Put all this together, and you come to understand what a house cat build truly is. A house cat is what you get when you fuse the deadliness of a snake with the energy of a mammal. But why does this playstyle make for such a good partnership with human
True.
players? Compared to dogs, they seem like they'd be much less useful party members. Humans broke the game and became the top-tier build by using coordinated team strategies and tool use in order to utterly trivialize their matchup versus large mammals. Dogs
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't know either that the slitted pupils on cats improved their depth perception. Interesting.
easily slot right into this game plan, as they can help track and chase down large prey, and also sniff out any potential ambush predators that could
My cat's a heavy roller. Relatable.
disrupt and punish this strategy. When a successful kill is made, dogs and humans naturally split the reward and both benefit. Dogs are also great defensively, as they can keep watch at camp and alert party members of approaching
Oh my god, that bear was like, I'm leaving! Please, tiny dog, have mercy for the love of God.
enemies. Cats are generally pretty useless in this regard.
Boing! Bro, the Mario strats.
They don't have anywhere near the endurance required to chase down prey over long distances, can't square off head-to-head with those builds anyway, and aren't nearly as reliable
This is my cat, okay? This about sums up my cat.
for early enemy alerts. The kills a cat makes can't realistically be shared with humans either. It wasn't until humanity unlocked the agriculture ability that the player base began to notice additional vulnerabilities they didn't need to care about before. Vulnerabilities that dogs couldn't really help with. When operating off of a hunter-gatherer strategy, humans could basically ignore all builds in the low weight class.
Yeah, cats could just wall run like in Assassin's Creed, true.
Rats and birds were no threat to humans, and also not worth the effort to take down, so it makes sense for them to just focus on larger quarries. However, when the focus shifts to farming and food storage, those same builds humans were ignoring before suddenly became one of their biggest threats. Having a granary raided and its food reserves destroyed could easily wipe out an entire human settlement. So figuring out proper security for these storage sites was critical. Dogs simply are not effective enough at stopping pest infestation.
He is stealth. No one can see him.
To fill that role. They cannot climb or fit into small spaces and aren't stealthy enough to catch the trickier pests. Cats, on the other hand, are truly excellent at this task and come with other benefits as well. The main one being that they require very little upkeep. Although they are social builds, they hunt alone, so they don't require any direction or attention from their human party members in order to accomplish their task. Since humans don't have any need for rat or bird carcasses, the fact that cats don't usually share their kills is actually a benefit rather than a drawback. The only thing cats really require from humans is to share in the
Man, this cat is just like mine also.
shelters they construct. In the wilderness, cats
I
typically
don't know if they're gonna mention this, but the other important thing is out of cats and dogs, cats just require less care. You know, you don't have to take them out to go to the bathroom, you just have a litter box. And also, they're happy to sleep anywhere, you know, any box will do. In fact, they will like the box better than the cat bed, most likely. Alright, wherever they can fit, they will sit and they will be happy about it. Like, these are all good perks.
use burrows, hollow stumps, or caves as their home bases. But these are vulnerable to attacks. Human settlements are significantly
Look at him go, he's riding the Roomba!
safer. Speaking of safety, even though cats are extremely lethal
Look at that ankle biter! He's so mad!
hunters, they pose very little danger to humans. This is a huge advantage over snakes, which theoretically could ally with humans to serve the same purpose, but in practice are far too dangerous to risk keeping around. The fact that cats are warm-blooded and therefore need to eat more frequently than snakes is also a benefit rather than a drawback for humans, since it means they need to stay on task and keep their guard up. So, while it is common to see players debate which build makes for the better addition to a human player's party, the correct answer
Also, cats are more floofy than snakes, so you can give, and they enjoy scritches. And they rumble. They also have the good purr, the good rumble. And it's shown to have benefits for human health, man.
is actually both. Dogs are a huge help in the large creature
Equip the cat to lap. Now you have warm lap and fuzzy floofy thing.
matchup. while cats cover your weaknesses in the
win-win.
small creature matchups. Having both in your party covers all of your weaknesses
Cute.
and enables human settlements to use a hybrid playstyle
Cute.
of both hunting and farming. So if you're a human main trying to construct the most
Or you
optimal
could have
party
both.
comp, the only real
You could
question
have
is
both.
how you'll keep the dog and cat players from fighting each other. Now, knowing which traits and abilities
so
to invest in
cute.
can be a difficult choice. Luckily for you, I've partnered with the game Cell to Singularity to provide you the perfect training simulation. Cell to Singularity is a scientifically accurate, non-fiction idle clicker game
Oh,
where
cool.
you begin as a single cell and have to unlock traits to evolve your biology, increase your
Educational
intellect,
clicker game.
and invent new
That's
technology in order to conquer the universe and reach the ultimate singularity point.
I feel like if they would have taught me stuff like this in school in an app like this, I would have retained it better.
It's a relentlessly fun idle game that had me hooked for weeks. I love the charming low-poly 3D animals that you unlock as you progress through the Tree of Life.
You know, like, rather than just playing, like, a video at you or making you read a chapter in a book, it's like, because you're interacting with it, I feel like you would learn it better this way.
In fact, I liked this game so much that we actually decided to partner up and build an entirely new limited-time game expansion.
Oh,
focused
cool.
entirely on exploring the adaptations that allowed cats to conquer the planet.
That's
It's
awesome.
free to play and available on Steam, iOS, and Android. We worked closely together on this cat event, so see if you can recognize and remember some of the important special abilities that I
Very
mentioned
cool.
as you play through it.
Learning
If you
content.
do manage to get far enough in this event, you'll even unlock a special TierZoo themed badge, which will permanently give your simulation a valuable speed buff. So please do check this one out, because I genuinely have never been so excited for a brand partnership
Interactive learning.
before. This one really is special to me, and I guarantee you'll have fun playing
I
Cell to
wish
Singularity.
I
Again-
had stuff like that when I was learning stuff. Maybe I wouldn't have been so bored. This is a W.
It is completely free to play, so click or tap on the link in the description or scan the QR
As
code on
someone with ADHD, I would absorb the knowledge so much better if it was given to me in this format.
screen now. Thanks again for watching, and as always, good luck out there.
That's a huge W. Cats are definitely OP. We definitely add them to party. I could be biased though, because I have two catties. I do recommend catties. They are soft, floofy. And when they purr, it is like therapy. It is good music to my ears.